Every time he dies, time resets, forcing him to relive the same scenario over and over again.
See you tomorrow, kid.
In an apartment in New York City, a dog anxiously waits for his owner to come home. The pup whines, pacing back and forth, glancing at his empty bowls before turning his eyes to the wall, where a portrait of him and his owner hangs. Meanwhile, across town, a young black man wakes up in another apartment. He puts on his glasses, looks around, and carefully slips out of a woman's embrace to get dressed. She stirs awake and, with playful indignation, accuses him of trying to sneak out after their night together. He laughs, insisting he wasn't sneaking out, he was going to leave a note. She smirks, revealing it was just a joke, and suggests they grab breakfast at a Jamaican restaurant. He loves the idea but says he has to go. His dog is waiting for him at home. To prove he's not just making an excuse, he shows her a photo of his dog, Jitter. She melts at the sight of the pup and offers to help take care of him sometime. As she walks past a small table, she accidentally knocks over a bottle, which crashes to the floor. Carter, already halfway out the door, pauses as she tells him she had a great time and would love to do it again. Amused, he asks how many more nights she has in mind. Laughing, she teases, maybe a couple hundred. Before leaving, he playfully tries to guess her name. Just as he opens the door, he notices the number on her apartment has peeled off. It now looks like apartment 6 instead of 9. Chuckling, he pretends to have remembered her name just in time. Perry, he says with a grin before stepping out. Out in the stairwell, Carter stops by a window landing and checks his home security camera to talk to his dog and remotely dispense some treats. Then, slipping in his headphones, he heads outside in a great mood. Smiling, he swings off his backpack and pulls out a cigarette. As he does, a wad of cash slips out and falls to the ground, but he doesn't notice. Taking a deep drag, he's about to continue walking when a guy holding coffee bumps into him from behind. The stranger, startled, looks down at his brand new shirt now covered in coffee and is instantly pissed. Carter offers to cover his dry cleaning, but the guy just storms off. A nearby cop witnesses the exchange and decides to check if everything's okay. As he approaches Carter, he sniffs the air. Something about the cigarette seems off. Carter assures him it's just a regular smoke and sarcastically suggests the officer should get his nose checked. That's when the cop notices the cash on the ground. His expression darkens. A black guy carrying that much money? Suspicious. Carter, sensing trouble, tries to de-escalate. I'm a comic book artist, he explains. A pretty successful one, but the cop isn't buying it. He demands to see Carter's belongings. When Carter refuses, things escalate fast. The cop grabs him, Carter resists, and within seconds, they're struggling. The officer slams him to the pavement, pinning him down. More cops rush over, trying to cuff him. A woman from a nearby fruit stand records everything on her phone, shouting at them to stop. But Carter doesn't shout anymore. The officer's arm is crushing his throat. His lips move, barely forming the words, "I can't breathe." But the officer doesn't let up. He tightens his grip. A minute later, Carter is dead. Carter jolts awake in his girlfriend Perry's bed, clutching his throat. She looks concerned, and he tells her he just had a bizarrely vivid dream. But soon, everything starts happening again. He shows Perry a photo of his dog, she accidentally breaks a bottle, and Carter suddenly realizes, he's seen all of this before. Deep in thought, he leaves Perry's apartment, puts on his headphones, and steps outside. He stops in the exact same spot, unzips his backpack, and looks at a wad of cash inside. Deciding to keep it in his pocket this time, he lights a cigarette. Remembering the guy with the coffee, he sidesteps just in time to avoid a collision. The stranger, relieved his new shirt is still clean, walks away, but their brief exchange catches the attention of a nearby cop. The officer approaches Carter, and the conversation plays out exactly as before. Then the cop notices the cash in Carter's pocket. He demands to search his belongings. A produce vendor nearby starts filming on her phone. Carter refuses, his backpack only holds personal items. But the officer doesn't take no for an answer. He twists Carter's arm behind his back, announcing he's under arrest. Carter struggles, and they both tumble to the pavement. In the chaos, Carter's hand brushes against the officer's holster. The cop assumes he's reaching for the gun. Acting first, he pulls his weapon and fires point blank. Carter dies instantly. Morning, Carter gasps awake, clutching his chest, completely disoriented. As he tries to process what just happened, Perry casually suggests grabbing breakfast at a Jamaican restaurant. Wanting to avoid another repeat, he convinces her to stay in and cook instead. As they're making breakfast, a sudden knock at the door startles them. Nervous, Perry peeks through the peephole. Police. Before she can react, they kick the door in and storm the apartment. Stunned, Perry and Carter throw up their hands and surrender. But one officer mistakes something in Carter's hands for a knife and fires without hesitation. Carter collapses, dead before he hits the floor. The whisk he was holding clatters beside him. The officer announces they're raiding a drug den, that they have a warrant. But Perry, still in shock, barely manages to whisper that they got the wrong apartment. They were supposed to hit Unit 6, not 9. Morning, Carter jerks awake in Perry's bed, his mind racing with frustration, fear, and an overwhelming need to break the loop. He shoves all his belongings under the couch and heads outside. Again and again, he tries to change the course of events, but no matter what he does, it always ends the same way, shot dead by the same cop. Once again waking up in Perry's bed, Carter recalls all his deaths and falls into despair. He doesn't know what to do, how to escape the time loop. After calming down a bit, he decides to ask Perry what she would do if someone tried to kill her every day. After thinking for a moment, she answers that she would try to kill them first, and offers him her gun. Carter hesitates, then is surprised to learn she even has one. Laughing, Perry replies that she's black and lives in America, so it's not that surprising, and if she didn't want to kill, she'd at least try to talk it out. With that, she heads to the kitchen, walking past a table with a bottle on it. Carter rushes over and catches the bottle before it hits the floor, preventing it from breaking. Thinking over her words, Carter steps outside and approaches Officer Merck. He tells him about the time loop they're stuck in and how the cop keeps killing him. Merck doesn't believe him, assuming Carter is high. Carter then describes the people on the street, predicting what each of them will do in the next minute. The officer starts to believe him and suggests Carter simply leave. Thinking he's finally changed the course of events, Carter hurries off. Turning the corner, he stops and lights a cigarette. A few guys run past him, being chased by the police. The cops immediately accuse Carter of being involved in their crimes. When Carter wakes up again, he finds himself back in Perry's bed. Frustrated, he heads outside to find Officer Merck again. He tells him that the time loop has repeated 99 times now and begs him to take him home, hoping that might change something. After a moment of thought, Merck agrees. As they drive, Carter sits in the back of the police car and learns that, by law, he's not allowed to sit in the front, even if he isn't arrested. With a sigh, he realizes Kevin Hart's movie lied. During the ride, they talk about their families, their relationships, and how police treat white people versus black people. Carter believes that things that get overlooked or forgiven for white people are never forgiven for black people. Merck disagrees, and they leave it at that. The ride ends without incident. When they arrive at Carter's building, they shake hands, and Carter starts to walk toward the entrance. But then, he hears Merck start clapping. He turns around, confused, and sees Merck praising him. This time, he says, it was a really great performance. The last times, he had to chase him down, sometimes even killing him right away. With those words, Merck pulls out his gun and aims it at Carter. Horrified, Carter realizes what's about to happen. He runs, hoping to escape, but a few bullets hit his back, and he falls to the ground. Merck, with a slight smile, says, "See you tomorrow." The spreading pool of blood beneath Carter forms the shape of Africa. Waking up again in Perry's bed, Carter tells her everything that has happened. The time loop, the 100 times he's been killed. He knows now that no matter what he does, the cop just wants to kill him. But he's determined to find a way to solve it. No matter how long it takes, or how many times it happens, he will get home to his dog. As the song The Way It Is plays, the names of black Americans who became victims of police violence appear on the screen. What would you do if you were in this guy's shoes and got stuck in a time loop? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.